like, oh, Daddy, I used my wish to wish for your happiness, aka you need to get married. And like even at the end where she's on TV giving the speech, and Avi's just like, hey, Dad, I know you were into that girl. Did you tell her? And he's like, well, no, I guess I didn't. And she's like, you fucking idiot. You complete moron. You hitch up that one horse open sleigh right now. We are going down to the resort. I'm not going to spend another Christmas motherless. Do you hear me? Like, extremely funny. Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm the Vice President of Atmosphere.
And this week, we close out the year with Falling for Christmas. Before we get amnesia and fall in love with a hot widower, remember you can help us on Mortified, the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod.
Housekeeping at the top of the episode. This is our last episode of the year. I might air a rerun of one of our previous year-end episodes to keep in the Christmas spirit, because we have enough of those to do that now. Mm-hmm. We've been doing this podcast for a bit. Mm-hmm. The newsletter will hopefully be back next year. I think I'm back in a cadence enough where I can actually write one. So sign up for it in our show notes. It's great. Also, next year when we come back in January to talk about Avatar, Way of the Water, we might have a slightly altered show format just because we noticed that talking about characters takes us a while. So we're just going to lump that in with the plot summary. It's going to be great. It's going to be a more efficient discussion of the thing that we are enjoying. Or maybe not enjoying. Sometimes we hit some real humdingers.
As we talk about the end of the year episodes, a lot of those were not enjoyable.
No, except for Princess Switch. Those are fucking great.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my housekeeping.
Leyla.
Aaron.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Chrysler.
Oh, it is time once again to watch a cheesy Christmas rom-com, as we've been doing for the past couple years. Unfortunately, the legendary Princess Switch 4 has not quite yet graced our screens, but I think we found more than adequate replacement.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the zeitgeist, Lindsay Lohan. We did enjoy her Netflix rom-com Falling for Christmas. And I did genuinely enjoy it.
No, I had a great time. This was really fun.
It was fun. I do still, Netflix, Venmo me $5,000. Let me punch up the script a little bit. Because it would have gone from really good to excellent. If they had just let me just tweak it just a little tiny bit in some spots.
Yeah. I think we know exactly what to expect, and it delivered. And I think that's all you can really ask for with Christmas films. And, I had a great time. I laughed. I cried. I clapped.
You cried?
I did not actually cry.
Okay.
I put some sad faces in my notes, but that was about it.
You did do that, yeah.
Leyla, do you want to tell us and our listeners what happens in this great film?
Yeah, sure. So Lindsay Lohan plays Sierra Belmont, a hotel heiress who is, you can tell, spoiled, but has a good core to her. She's not mean. She's just used to the finer things in life. Mm-hmm. And Sierra Belmont and her influencer boyfriend Tad go on a romantic little photo shoot ski trip where Tad proposes to her with a ring that's too big. Unfortunately, despite being the heiress to a fucking ski resort, Sierra doesn't know how to ski, so she starts sliding backwards and falls off a cliff. Tad also falls off the same cliff in a different direction. So while Tad finds a fisherman poacher named Ralph and hikes back to town with Ralph, in a relationship that I did think was going to culminate in a romance, but did not.
Sadly.
Lindsay Lohan falls and hits her head and has amnesia, which is how she gets picked up by Cord Overstreet's character, Jake, who runs a homely, beautiful little resort called the North Star. And in the beginning of the movie, he was trying to get funding from Lindsay Lohan's dad, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and now they just don't know how they're going to make ends meet. So he takes in poor Sierra, who, again, cannot remember her name, and his daughter helps her pick out a new name, a temp name, and it's Sarah. A similarity that I did not really put together until the end of the runtime, but that's fine. So Sarah, the amnesiac, tries to help out around the house, but because she lived the life of a spoiled heiress, she doesn't know how to do anything. So, of course, Jake and his mother-in-law, Alejandra, and his daughter have to help her learn how to cook and make the bed and give her the confidence to really, pursue these little moments in life. And in return, Sarah, who's falling in love with Jake, wants to help him fundraise to keep the North Star open just a little while longer, to preserve the memories of his dead wife, Carla, because, of course, this charitable hunk is also a widower. Now, at the fundraising party that they host for the North Star, Tad and Mr. Belmont finally find their missing heiress, and they tell her, no, your name is Sierra and you're engaged to this influencer. And they take her back to the Belmont Hotel, but something's different about Sierra now. She makes her own bed. She doesn't want to choose the flashiest outfit.
She eats bacon.
She eats bacon, and in the beginning of the movie, she didn't do bacon. But now she does bacon. And, she breaks up with Tad. And she says, don't worry, Tad, I know you. You'll be fine by New Year's. And she tells her father that, no, you know what, she doesn't want his made-up job to be the vice president of Atmosphere. She wants to make her own way. And he's really proud of her. And that's when Jake comes and confesses his true feelings for this new woman in his life. And they make out, and it's a happily ever after for everyone, even for Tad, who then starts dating the valet of the Belmont, bisexual king. So this movie really has everything.
It's great. It's great. I think this is, like, as we've talked about Princess Switch before, and I think Falling for Christmas kind of falls into the same category. It is good that Hallmark has no longer monopolized this genre of, like, pretty tame Christmas rom-coms, because, like, Hallmark does have, like, a weird Christian bent to it.
Well, one of their biggest stars is Candace Cameron Bure, who's the daughter of Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, rip. So, like, yeah, I think it is very nice that we're not allowing the fucking evangelicals to take this genre of film over, because it is genuinely delightful. Like, I understand that there are definitely folks who are, like, firstly, not Christian or so do not want to engage in this holiday, and that's completely fine. But, like, I'm always down for a kind of, like, sweet and funny and kind of generally joyful and celebratory movie that always kind of follows similar tropes. And Falling for Christmas does it. And I loved every single fucking trope that it hit, because it hits most, if not all of them. And I cheered every single time.
Yeah, this would have been a fun drinking game. Just take a drink every time.
Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, listen, one of my Twitter friends, Lori Stark, used to run a Hallmark Christmas podcast where she and her partner would watch all of the Hallmark movies that came out, like, every holiday season. It was, like, something like 40 movies within a span of 40 days, like, something absurd. She no longer does that because that sounds nightmarish, but, like, I recommend you look up a very Hallmark Christmas podcast, which is defunct now, but still has some great episodes out. But, like, yeah, I mean, just, like, you can see that it follows kind of a schedule, and just a really delightful, methodical, breaking down of all these fun patterns.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's one of my favorite My Brother and Me bits too. Is
that's a Christmas
movie
to me. Yeah.
Incredible. I was there live for one of them. I went to see a live show in Austin.
That owns.
It's quite good. Yeah, no, Hallmark movies I think are great. I love a cheesy Christmas rom-com. Even though, like, I don't love Christmas as a holiday. If you know me personally, you know I'm a bit of a Grinch. And just have a poor personal history with the holiday. But, you know, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get my mojo back. And I think Falling for Christmas and the Princess Switch movies have really done a lot of therapeutic repair in the relationship between me and the rebirth of Christ. So, let's talk about Lindsay Lohan's return to the big screen as Sierra/Sarah Belmont.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Sierra is, you know, your stuck-up heiress who is not down to earth enough, although she kind of wants something more than this, you know, the privileged life she's been given. She's not a workaholic like you might see as the protagonist of these movies is often cast. But like, you know, she is a little bit disconnected from the things that truly make her happy. You know, you can tell that like she doesn't have a great relationship with Tad. He's kind of shitty. And you know, I think that as she hits her head and gets amnesia and she begins to understand the true meaning of you know, finding satisfaction in oneself and one's relationships with others, you know, she is able to become a good person. And you know what? I think this just goes to show that learning how to make your bed and do the dishes is character building. My mom and my dad were right. Doing chores is good for you, actually.
Yeah, so here's the first of my punch-up suggestions. This character should have taken some notes from Sharpay Evans. I think she should have been more obnoxious. Because you could tell immediately that there was something like core good to Sierra Belmont, which I think is fine. But if you really wanted to punch up this little shtick you got going here, I think she should have been more obnoxious, more aligned with Tad's whole thing. But her dad, who asks her at the end of the movie, as he says, she apologizes for not telling him about the engagement with Tad. She didn't have a chance to. Obviously, she fell and hit her head. And he found out from Tad. And he says, it's fine as long as you're happy. You are happy, right? I think that would have been a good refrain to set up in the beginning of the film.
Right.
If when he first meets Tad and discusses her relationship with Tad and discusses the way she's living her life, which again, she's like never had a job. You know, he wants her to be the vice president of Atmosphere just to like give her a title and like put something on her resume. I think maybe having called out the fact that she's like, you know, well in her 30s or, you know, probably early 40s and hasn't had a job and be like, are you happy living life the way that you are? Are you happy with Tad? Just like keep hammering into her, like, are you happy? To give her something to think about and give her a reason to feel disconnected from this life. I think that would have given me a little bit more to cling to, because it just felt a little off in the beginning. It took me a minute to get into this movie, but once I got into it, I was in. I think the one review I did accidentally catch, because I really was trying to abstain from anything having to do with like content about Falling for Christmas. The one review I did accidentally catch called Lindsay Lohan's performance self-conscious, and I think it did feel like that at times. Like it felt a little too restrained, because a lot of the comedic timing that this movie had was very Mean Girls, and there is like a Mean Girls callback with Jingle Bell Rock, where she starts singing it, and it just felt like she felt restrained. So I wish she had a little more rehearsal time. I wish the script was punched up a little bit more and gave her like just easier concepts to work with, because this is her first time back on screen in like forever. Of course she's going to be self-conscious. But yeah, so I liked her at the end. I thought it was fun. I liked her relationship with Jake's daughter, but I wanted like 10% more. Netflix, that was for free, you know, like this is a test of my abilities. I think 10K plus royalties is like a decent ask. Call me.
Right. No, I think that's all fair. And you know what, I hope we see more. I hope Lindsay Lohan finds these films enjoyable. Like my understanding is that like for Hallmark, right, the shooting schedule is like absurd. It's like 2 weeks or something ridiculous.
Well, they gotta pump out like 40 of these things.
Right, exactly, right. Like they just don't have time. But I hope that Netflix is a little bit nicer and it treats its actors better. So, you know, I want to see more Lindsay Lohan's. I want to listen. I think every feel-good Christmas movie should have a cinematic universe. I want them all to be tied up. I want the Vanessa Ann Hudgens to visit her at some point, you know.
Oh, they should go to the competitor ski resort in whatever the fucking fake country is.
Yeah.
Princess Switch.
Alt universe Britain, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? There were moments where Lindsay Lohan like really like got comfortable and had a moment where she shined. So like I want more of her. I'm welcoming Miss Lohan back on screen. I think I'm excited to see more cheesy, fun holiday flicks from her. But Lindsay Lohan in a fucking Easter movie. You know what I mean?
God, I wish we had more Easter rom-coms. I want to meditate Christ's agonizing death and also meet a hot widower who does carpentry.
Oh my God!
Actually, wait, that ties into Jesus a lot. Hold on, give me 5 minutes and $100 million.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we could get a great. That could be the first Mortified Productions flick. Next we have her dad, Beauregard Belmont, who I did in a wide shot think was Harrison Ford for a minute.
I saw you cast several different people in this film in your notes, and that would have been an incredible film. I want Harrison Ford in this. I want Adam Conover as the love interest. Right. I want to see this star-studded cast.
Yeah, okay, Court Overstreet looks like discount Adam Conover in this movie.
You know what? I'll take it.
Sorry, Mr. Overstreet, I didn't recognize you. I thought I had a crush on him when I was little. You'd think I would.
So is his name really Cord Overstreet?
It absolutely is. He comes from the same era of teen star as Sterling Knight.
Oh, God, sounds like a fucking Friends at the Table ass name. Fucking OC in a tabletop game. All right, sure. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think Beauregard's fine, right? He serves the role of like, you know, kind of like miserly, like rich guy who warms up to the protagonist or the love interest in the end, and you know he has a good heart because he wants the best for his kid. He serves his purpose.
Yeah, he's also a widower, which I think I'm starting to realize where my anxiety about dying early comes from. It's the fact that in all the media I consume, there's a lot of widowers per capita, you know?
But you listen, to get a hot widowed dad, you gotta break a few wives.
You're fucking right, ladies. Watch out, I'm coming for you.
However, the actual star, our bisexual king.
The man who plays Tad Fairchild put his whole Tennessee into this performance.
Right. This is like what you're saying, right? Like this guy is flamboyant and egregious and, you know, so irritating, like completely over the top, and he just crushes the role.
Crushes. Incredible accessory game also. He is obnoxious, he's beautiful, he is so polished and shiny and strange and like struggles with feeling genuine emotion, and it's incredible. Again, more punch-up suggestions. Netflix, hire somebody who works in social media to write your social media related scripts, because there were some of the lines that actually worked and were funny, like when he's like getting broken up with by Sierra, and he's like, okay, but can I post this on my Instagram, because breakups they just crush engagement.
Yes,
they
right.
really
that's fair. But all the jokes about like trending and like hashtags are a little dated.
They're a little dated. Like I think enough of your audience at this point understands social media that maybe we can get somebody who's, I don't know, touched it once in their lives to just like do a quick little edit. Maybe we could get Ninja Blevins in here, like you also thought was in this fucking movie. There was a blue-haired guy getting out of a very expensive car in the opening montage, and I'm like, the only blue-haired guy I know is Ninja.
Of course you have blue hair and outdated views on hanging out with women.
Oh my God. Tyler is his first name, right? Tyler Ninja Blevins.
Who gives a shit?
You're right.
Tad does great, and I just like, that's one of the reasons that like he does give off like gay vibes the whole time, which like I was wondering if it was just like if that was intentional or not, because like he definitely seemed to have some chemistry with Ralph, the guy who's like, you know, he kind of stumbles into, like, you know, he talks about how big his feet are, he calls him his savior, he like grabs him by the face and is just like so effusive in his thanks for giving him refuge, and I was like, Ralph's gonna fuck this man, and unfortunately that didn't happen, but Tad does at the very end like meet the valet / like personal assistant of Sarah, and he's just like, so what are you doing for New Year's, King? And then like when Jake gives the confession, both Tad and Terry are in the stretch Hummer, and then the window rolls down, and Tad's like, "Oh, buddy, I don't feel the same." And then Terry kind of pokes his head out, and he's like, "See you later, nerd. I'm gonna go get laid," which is extremely funny and good.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. And like because he was so flamboyant and so like quote unquote queer coded, the whole time, right. It didn't feel like him picking up a guy at the end was a punchline.
It was not Gaston or what LeFou at the end of Beauty and the Beast, right? It wasn't just like, and now he's gonna dance with a man, and it wasn't a punchline, right? I cut you off there, but yeah, you're right.
No, you didn't cut me off. It's all good. Yeah, it wasn't a punchline. It wasn't like fucking LeFou, Disney's 12th first gay character. So, it's, I was grateful for it. It was fun. And also his accessory game was on point. I was obsessed with his brooch at the end scene. I think we should bring brooches back. This movie does it a couple of times.
We need to like every time we do a Christmas episode, we need to find what the best accessory and just start purchasing them. So we've already got the skeleton hand, and now we got to get this brooch. We're going to assemble a fucking Final Fantasy ass boss outfit.
Oh my god! I
throughout the course of this podcast.
I was actually shopping for the skeleton hand for a while after we like tried to find it, and I couldn't find a good one that wasn't either going to turn our hands green or fall apart. But I think I might take a second look after we finish recording because I think that would be very funny.
I bet you could just get a like plastic skeleton hand and then get gold spray paint. And then just kind of like make a cheap one. That's probably doable.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I think you're right though. We got to get a Final Fantasy ass Christmas behemoth
We have to have
costume.
big crowns and big swords and belts as well.
Oh, so many belts. Moving on to our love interest, who I did call discount. What's his face?
Adam Conover.
Just got Adam Conover in my notes. Jake Russell. Jake is charitable. Jake is a widower. Jake is a dad. Jake runs a homey Airbnb where he gives sleigh rides through the woods and calls in code 3s when he finds rich women knocked out on his property. Jake fixes his own snowmobiles. Jake runs the toy drive and the town just wouldn't know what to do without him.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jake. I think he completely serves his purpose as the charming, charitable, hot love interest who kind of sweeps our heroine off her feet. I think he has like genuinely good interactions with Avi, his daughter. And his mom, or his mother-in-law, kind of. They both have like pretty good relationships. Yeah, I mean, I think he was completely fine, even good.
Yeah, I'll say he was good. I will say Netflix did this 2 or 3 times in the script, but sometimes when him and Lindsay have like little, they're not even conflicts, friction when they have a little bit of friction.
The contractually obligated, you say something mean to the person you're interested in, so it looks like you're breaking up.
Yeah, he'll bring up her amnesia when he does that, and I think I think you get one. I think you get one scathing amnesia line, and I think that one should have been when she finally gets picked up by her family. I think when she turns around and she like apologizes and thanks him, he says, "Forget about it." I think that's the one they should have kept, and they should have cut the others.
The other one was a little mean, where he's like, what do you know about making happy memories? You have amnesia. Like, hey, bro, it's a little far, don't you think?
Yeah, he apologized right away too, but I was like, okay, but then when the second time you do it, that means your apology doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, bro, you gotta back that up. But other than that, he was good.
Do you have anything in particular to say about Avi? I thought she was really cute.
I mean, like, I think we pointed this out in your notes, but like, she is very desperate to have a mom for Christmas, to the point where she is like scheming to get Sarah and Jake together. She's just kind of like, like, oh, daddy, I used my wish to wish for your happiness, aka you need to get married. And like, even at the end where, she's on TV giving the speech and Avi's just like, hey, dad, I know you were into that girl. Did you tell her? And he's like, well, no, I guess I didn't. And she's like, you fucking idiot. You complete moron. You hitch up that 1-horse open sleigh right now. We are going down to the resort. I'm not going to spend another Christmas motherless. Do you hear me? Like, extremely funny.
That was truly the vibe. She is determined to get a mom.
She and Alejandra, unfortunately.
Okay, Alejandra is talk about a star of this film. Tad, absolutely. But when Tad's not on screen, you know who is? Alejandra. And I love every moment. She is tearful. She is motherly. She bought Lindsay Lohan a fuck me dress. Or sorry, a Freakum dress. Beyonce, I should have used your word first. She bought Lindsay Lohan a Freakum dress.
Yeah, she's like, listen, my son-in-law, after my daughter passed, my son-in-law has been very sad. And he's been having a little bit of a dry spell, if we're being honest. And it's making him a little moody. Could you help him out? Could you help a brother out for a second?
Yeah, and she buys Lindsay Lohan this, like, hot red scalloped mini dress, which, like, when I saw, I was like, I kind of want a hot red scalloped mini dress. But then I realized I'm a homebody that doesn't go anywhere, so I don't, like, where would I wear it? I just bought a black mini dress, and it's sitting in my closet, so... You know what I mean? But she looked great. And Alejandra, like, I feel like at every turn, there's an alternate cut of this movie where Alejandra is just keeping track of Sarah's movements and is just, like, positioning herself to be, like, emotionally vulnerable. Because Sarah walks in on her looking through that memory book.
Right,
like, I could see
this
that being
this is entirely staged, right?
Yeah.
If we had seen that shot 5 minutes earlier, she'd be, like, checking her phone and be like, okay, let me just open to the right page and let me get the eye drops in and go, oh, mija, I'm so sorry. I just, since my daughter passed, like...
Well, they sit there and she's like, Lindsay Lohan's like, oh my God, your daughter was so beautiful. Alejandra grabs her face and it's like, you're beautiful.
So funny. Like, extremely, like, you know, this is extremely, like, immigrant mom vibes. Like,
oh, yeah.
there isn't a type of, like, mom who is like this. And I love it. Alejandra's great.
I think you and I both have one.
My mom is thankfully a little more cloaked about it, but still.
Oh, yeah. Mine, yeah, same. Mine's cloaked, but when it comes out, it really fucking comes out. You know what I mean? Yeah, incredible. We have some honorable mentions on the list here. Ralph, again, the poaching fisherman in the hut.
He feeds Tad beans, then he loves them.
Just an incredible man. That actor looked like he was having so much fun.
Yeah.
And then we have our good friend Terry Carver.
Yeah, I mean, like, Terry is just kind of a useless personal assistant, but, like, he just kind of shows up and it's just like, Sierra, Miss Belmont, what's going on? You're making your bed? Oh, no, I've lost you and I didn't call the cops for 4 days. Oops. Anyway, I'm gonna go get fucked by your ex-boyfriend now. Bye.
I wouldn't call him useless. He's got his whole crew trained on hand signals. Did you see them?
That's true. He's got them tact trained like they're a goddamn SWAT team. Like, he, like, holds up his hand and they pause as they're entering her room. So you're right. I'm sorry to slander Terry's excellent training.
Yeah, I think Terry, you know, I think Terry does an excellent job of getting the glam squad in order. Yeah, so those are the characters of this incredible oh, well, I'll also honorable mention to the random couple that's in every scene.
There is just, like, this random couple who, you know, at first Jake is taking them around on the sleigh and the dude's just like, oh man, is that a dead body? I don't want to see a dead body. And the girl's like, yo, I want to see a dead body. It's really good.
Yeah, they're really great. And then they, like, befriend Sarah by the end of, like, I feel like everyone who was staying at this resort really took it well that an amnesiac showed up and then just, like, started to help run things. Like, they really accepted her as part of the staff by the end of the 4 days she was there.
Yeah, no, it was less. By Thursday, they're just like, oh, hey, actually, I'm at 3:12. Could you send up another plate of those pancakes that you learned to make yesterday? Thanks. So funny.
Incredible. Real small town vibes.
It's awesome. It's great.
And also shout out to real Santa Claus that was in this film.
Yeah, Santa Claus is just here. It's not commented on, which I appreciate. But he is extremely there and explicitly magical, and that rules.
Yeah, exactly. And the other final shout out is to all the fucking tropes in this film.
Like, that's the thing, right? I was, you know, primed for this movie in a way that, like, I don't think I've been for a lot of the other stuff we've watched, because I was just like, okay, yes, we have a sad widower, we have somebody who is in a relationship she doesn't really want to be in or need to be in, you know, we have the small town business that's about to, you know, run out of money, we have amnesia, we have, you know, relationships between two women who have bonded with their mother through hair brushing. Like, it's truly just like, everybody at the end of the day, everybody from the small town pulls their money together to help out the business, right? And then we have a turn where the person, leaves because they're not actually going to end up together, and at the very end they do get together, right? It is every single trope, and it just kind of made me think, like, I wonder if romance is such a popular genre because people are, one, kind of primed and actually seeking out these tropes in a way that, like, maybe other genres are not, like where science fiction or fantasy is more like, oh, you need to do this thing a certain way, otherwise it doesn't work. Whereas romance is more open to being like, yeah, no, I want to see these things, but I want to see them in a new way. And I want them, to be delivered in a new setting. And I just think that, like, rom-coms and romance especially do employ their tropes really well, and because everybody's just kind of willing to accept them, right? I feel like, people who are interested in these kind of romances are much more open to the stuff that we joke and laugh about, how amnesia is such a common plot point, but, like, I think it works. Fuck it, right? Like, the ways in which amnesia can, show how a character's personality has changed, right? Like, I don't think you should overuse it if you're not working within this mode, but, like, when you're in the mode, it works like a charm every time.
Well, amnesia is just shorthand for being able to take a character and say they're going to show their true self and engage with this new person with none of their baggage. So it's just like an easy way to introduce a character and be like, oh, like, this character isn't bringing any of their trauma, isn't bringing any of their, like, quirks to this relationship. It's just their true and authentic self. And it's, easy for the other character then to also see them as their true and authentic self without any of the trappings of, like, in this movie, Lindsay Lohan being very, very rich. So, and, she was wearing sunglasses in the scene that Jake did run into her, so obviously he didn't recognize her. So, yeah, and with romance, like, it's comfort food, right? Listen, I'm not here to be, like, convinced. I'm not gonna go write Falling for Christmas fan fiction after this, you know what I mean? And, like, romance as a genre is, like, very, very varied because you can have, like, very compelling, like, specifically romance stories with, like, big, beautiful plots surrounding them, and that's fine. But you can also have Hallmark, and the two can live in harmony, because sometimes I don't have the emotional bandwidth to process the tragic romance of She Who Became the Sun, right? I don't have that in me. Sometimes I want to watch Lindsay Lohan kiss Cordova Street and have amnesia because it's comfort food. And I think that's great. I'll watch it forever. Yeah, plop the same shit in different settings. I don't care. Give me 20 more Princess Switches. Like, I think Princess Switch, I think the new iteration should be the daughter of the American guy, and she should have a twin. And, start it all over again. Like, it's delicious and timeless, and, I think it's okay to want to watch the same thing in a different setting if you're just looking for, like, easy comfort,
100%. So I think that concludes our coverage of Falling for Christmas.
Yeah, go watch it. It's good.
Yes, you should watch it. But as is Mortified tradition, we are going to once again close out our episode by doing a end of year bracket. We're not going to do quite as long of a one as we have done in previous years, just because that can take some time. I didn't have time to watch all of them usually. Actually, I did listen to all of the ones. We have our top 8 episodes of the season. And I think we're going to have them square off here. They are in no particular order. Actually, I think this is in no particular order. We're going to have Wolf Anglo-Saxon Protestant, which is Alpha and Omega. Isha is an iPad Kid, Iron Widow. Aaron and Leyla, Mushu Haters, which was our Disney Speak Cool Spectacular. Can someone tell us if Kuroko is dead, which is our sports anime sampler. Legumentine's Day Special, Hatofu Boyfriend. 238 works in Luke, Hobbs / Deckard Shaw. MM, which is our Hobbs and Shaw episode, the era of wet and pathetic, parentheses internet hot boy retrospective we did for Scorpio season, and of course the Xenosaga trilogy episodes 87, 91, 94, where we covered the Xenosaga franchise. I'm
honestly surprised the Xenosaga trilogy ended up here, but I think you've had enough distance.
So no, because I went back and I listened to them, and I don't think it's going to get very far, but I do want to talk about it. So let's start with our first bracket, round one. We're going to put up Disney sequel Spectacular versus Xenosaga trilogy, and I think it's pretty clear for me personally that Disney sequel goes on ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fucking hysterical.
But I want to talk about the Xenosaga trilogy real quick because I think a theme that we had in these episodes, a lot of these episodes we're going to talk about right now, is trying to find the core of what made it good or what the creator was trying to do. And we worked our asses off, like trying to bring up Nietzschean philosophy and trying to bring in other tropes, like considering the design constraints, how this was supposed to be 6 games as opposed to 3, right? And we were just, despite the fucking unending text about fucking Realians and Albedo and Negredo and Little Master and all his fucking names, we really tried to get at the core of what makes these games interesting, and I think that trying to work through Xenosaga kind of set the scene for us being better critics throughout the year. So thank you, Xenosaga trilogy, for that.
Also, I would like to point out that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was on the GOTY list for the Game Awards this year. And those games are related. Cosmos is in Xenoblade Chronicles as a cameo. So
maybe we should play Xenoblade Chronicles.
We can't do it for this podcast, but I mean, we could.
No, not
as
for this podcast.
People.
Just for fun. Yeah. No.
Sorry, me working in games does put limitations on our content.
No. I think that was actually announced in one of these episodes that we were gonna take a step away from games. So let's talk about Hobbs and Shaw versus Hatofu Boyfriend. Which one do you think was, and I don't know what we're describing as better. I feel like the one that we kind of think is either the best episode for a new person to listen to or the one we had the most fun doing.
I would really just fun, honestly. Okay. Because that usually dovetails with something that might be a good entry point.
Yes, that's a good point. Do you have opinions on Hobbs and Shaw or Hatofu Boyfriend?
The Hobbs and Shaw one was so fucking funny is the problem. So
I think that's fair.
I do think that the Legumentine's Day special should go on because it is a great example of what you were talking about with Xenosaga, which is just us doing our very best trying to engage with absurd content.
Yes. I think it's also just a hilarious episode because I got all the fucking joke/evil routes and you got all the normal routes just by sheer happenstance, and we were just this is of an era. We also spent a lot of time contextualizing it of this was pre-Gamergate, but in that era of internet where making silly visual novels was the thing, and us bringing that kind of conversation about how this is a thing, product of its time. I really kind of like that conversation about how us just being this doesn't work for us, but we get why it exists.
Yeah. So is that one? Do you agree? Is that one moving on?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
But shout outs to Hobbs and Shaw and their 230. I forgot until I re-listened to the episode that somebody wrote over 500,000 word fanfic about Hobbs and Shaw, which is fucking bonkers.
Maybe, oh god. There's a part of me that was about to suggest, if we ever had a Patreon, I would love to do, a drunk reading of some of it, but honestly, I don't want
1.5 million words? Absolutely the fuck not.
Not the whole thing, just a couple, but, 100 words. But at the same time, I never want anybody who writes fanfiction to feel like I'm making fun of them, because I never am.
Yeah. But still, extremely funny. So let's go to the other side. Internet Hot Boys versus Alpha and Omega.
I'm gonna vote Alpha and Omega here. My brother in Christ, those movies they unlocked something in our brains.
We had quite I don't think the conversation was nearly as interesting as our Internet Hot Boy one. but it is a funny conversation, which does give it a lot of points. Plus, we were both, I was pretty drunk during the Internet Hot Boy one.
I was not, regrettably. My body just, like, refuses to engage with alcohol for some reason, but, like, man, Alpha and Omega did something chemically to me watching it.
I think Alpha and Omega advances. I do want to say, for Internet Hot Boy, we got our first piece of fan art from it. Shoutouts to Ange, which is an incredible piece of art that just says, "Do you understand the appeal of the triangle?"
Shaped like Bill from Gravity Falls. It's
so thank you, Ange, for that. So this next one, Iron Widow versus Sports Sampler. I think this is a tough one, but I think Iron Widow advances just because it hit you in such a specific way.
I would agree. Just it is very substantive and it is very funny, but I do want to give Kuroko some flowers because me and you love a good sports anime.
No, everything about Kuroko and Yowamushi Peta was so fun for us, right? Like the fact that every time that a new Kuroko episode came on, it was the thing was titled "The Basketball Which Kuroko Plays," which is a hysterical translation. And then just like the main character of Yowamushi was just so endearing, just like a fucking weeb who accidentally got good at cycling, and we loved that.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Love all of that for us. All right, back to the other side in the semifinals. It's Aaron and Leyla Mushu haters versus the Legumentine's Day special.
I think it's Mushu haters.
I agree.
Yeah, Legumentine's Day was fun, but we did some work during the Mushu haters episode, and we'll talk about that for the final round. Semifinals, Alpha and Omega v Iron Widow. Ooh,
hard.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Hard.
God, we spent so much time explaining the metaphor of how howling equates to sex in a weird way in the Alpha and Omega universe.
In a very blatant way. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
no, just like, and I was like, this wasn't a film for, and then we did the statistical analysis of the sequels. Oh, that was really good too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I love the Iron Widow. I think it's a great book, but as far as episodes that really unlocked a different dimension in our brains, I do think Alpha and Omega has to advance.
I don't know. Iron Widow, the thing is that I think of every media property we talked about this year, Iron Widow was like the only one that was a slam dunk for you in like a major way. Like, I don't know that we've ever talked about something except for like maybe Kingdom Hearts. Like, I think Iron Widow for you was like equivalent to, what was the one that I still obsessed with? I'm going to kick myself because I know...
Not Carmen Sandiego.
Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts is what I'm
Jesus
talking about.
Christmas.
God,
okay.
That took so long. I think that, right, you loved Iron Widow in a way that I love Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. And like, I don't want to discount that. Like, I think this is up to you because it was your emotional reaction. But like, listening through this again, like, I was struck by how much you were just like, no, Iron Widow is like me talking about the patriarchy and just being like, this is what I was like before. I realized that I had to just fucking step on people, otherwise they would step on me. And like, it does kind of, I was just kind of like, oh wow, Leyla is really engaging with this text in a meaningful and serious way because of the ways in which they have had to live their life.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that book hit home real fucking hard. Oh, this is tough, isn't it? You know what though? So yes, the text hit me really hard, but I think regrettably, if I'm going for how much fun I had talking about something, I do think Alpha and Omega was it. Iron Widow unlocked shrimp emotions in me.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not fun to see the fourth dimension. Shout outs to Iron Widow. I cannot wait for the sequel, the end of the duology next year, where we'll find out whether or not it's aliens or just some guys. Can't wait for that. But yeah, now it is Disney Sequel Spectacular versus Alpha and Omega. I mean, I think it's still the Sequel Spectacular.
It was pretty fucking. Listen, if we're talking about passion, me talking about the inherent racism of Pocahontas too.
Yes, 100. Like, we got into a huge, not an actual huge argument, but like us just like having this debate about what Pocahontas 2 is about, and just like. This you go on this not insane like impassioned screed for like 5 minutes, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, they're not wrong.
I felt so bad after that because you were like, well, I can't argue with that. I was like, oh, whoops.
I mean, I wasn't going to. I don't think you made any incorrect points. Like, I don't care that much about Pocahontas too. But like, I think we do so much good work in that episode. It kind of like, it was our 100th episode, which was also something to be celebrated. But like, we watched 5 movies, 2 of which were, 3 of which were
dog shit.
Two of which were watchable, one of which was okay, and the other 2 were awful.
Shit films. Just
like
movies.
the stuff we said about Mushu, the things that we want to do to that dragon after Mulan too. But like, I think it's really some of our best work as far as like engaging with the text and trying to talk about how they relate to the sequels and how the Disney sequel phenomenon was built in the late 90s, early 2000s, and like I think it's honestly like some of our best like examples of us trying to use critic brain, and also having a very fun time just being like, okay, so we have to have 2 separate musicals going on at the same time, and one of Aladdin's gonna fly over on his carpet and go into Paris, and that's where he's gonna get the jewels and also drop flowers. And I think that's kind of what the best thing that this podcast does is pitch insane shit that would kick ass.
Absolutely. So I think that's what I'll do for the 2 weeks that we're off. I think I'm going to rerun that episode next week, and then I'll rerun one of the Christmas ones for Christmas.
I think that's a good idea.
And then we'll come back, talk about Avatar 2, Way of the Water.
Jesus Christ. Which some people are saying is good, so who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows? We're gonna go in there with open hearts and open minds. And I did find for Aaron a little treat. And at Target that has to do with the marketing campaign for this film, and I have not told him what it is.
Lord.
But I'm sure we'll post pictures on the Mortified feed when we go on a discovery journey together of what's actually inside the thing that I bought.
Yeah, that'll be something. Cannot wait for that. But yes, Disney Sequel Spectacular is our Mortified episode of the year. We've done 44 episodes if you include actually, this is our 44th episode this year. Still doing great. We're on track.
Considering the year we've had?
We moved. We both had very bad times, multiple times. That's less than 10 episodes missed. We're out here doing the fucking work, folks. So thank you all for coming to the end of the year episode. I hope that we have provided you some enjoyment. As much enjoyment as making this podcast has given me, because it's a great time.
It is a great time. I'm glad to be on the 4th year. Can you believe that?
Season 4.
Christ!
Oh my Lord. Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. Next year, once again, we'll celebrate our anniversary in June. We'll hit episode 150, which is insane,
bonkers.
We'll do our Scorpio season as per usual. It'll be great. Again, it'll be in a slightly new format, just a little more streamlined. But otherwise, same old. Again, if you have content suggestions for us, mortifiedpod@gmail.com. If you want to write us an end of year message, if you want to give us a call and leave us a voicemail, you're always welcome to do that on our hotline, which is
775-573-8882.
There you go. And, thanks everybody for listening. Tell your friends about this podcast. Aaron and I will be in the meat space for New Year's. Having fun hanging out.
It'll be a time. But until then, what shall we leave our listeners with to ring out the 2022 season?
Forget about it.
Happy New Year, listeners. We'll see you all in 2023.